So, meine lieben Freunde, gleich gibt es das Interview mit Evaldas, dem Vorstandsvorsitzenden von NEO Finance. Es ist das letzte Interview von der Baltikum-Reise 2019. Ich meine, die fand ja schon Ende März statt. Und entsprechend sind nicht mehr alle Themen so ganz aktuell. Zum Beispiel, wenn wir auf den IPO zu sprechen kommen, der jetzt zum Beispiel auch schon stattfand. Ich wollte in diesem Intro nur sagen, es wird ein relativ langes Video werden. Ich glaube, es dauert so ein bisschen mehr als eine Stunde. Deswegen unten in der Videobeschreibung gibt es Timestamps. Bitte schauen, welche Themenblöcke euch besonders interessieren. Und wer gerne eine deutsche Übersetzung des Interviews haben möchte, der schaut bitte auf meinem Blog vorbei. Dort habe ich die wichtigsten Aussagen und Passagen übersetzt. Ansonsten, es gibt eine kleine Bonuskampagne bei NEO Finance. Ich bin ja selbst jetzt auch mit 5.000 Euro investiert. Und wir haben uns überlegt, für alle Registrierungen, die über meinen Link in den nächsten 30 Tagen reinkommen, gibt es ausschließlich für diese Investoren ein 3% Cashback für alle getätigten Investitionen, zusätzlich zu dem 25 Euro Startbonus, den man sowieso als neuer Investor bei NEO Finance bekommt. Heißt, wer zum Beispiel 2.500 Euro investiert, anlegt, das wären dann 75 Euro an Cashback und nochmal 25 Euro Startbonus, das wären dann 100 Euro insgesamt. Deswegen schaut euch das mal an. In Zukunft wird es auf jeden Fall noch jede Menge Content von NEO Finance geben, aber jetzt erstmal viel Spaß mit dem Interview. Hello and welcome to the very last interview for this Baltics trip 2019. My name is still Danny and I'm here today joined with Evaldas. Is that correct? The name?
Almost, yeah.
Okay, how do you say it correctly?
Evaldas.
Okay, sorry for that. You're the chairman of the board at NEO Finance since August 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
So for a very long time. What can you maybe tell about your personal background before you started NEO Finance? So before you set up the company, what has been your personal background, maybe education, work experience? No.
Okay. I've studied informatics in university, so computer science, actually programming. So my background is as IT background. And after I graduated the university, I started to work in some restaurant, just fixing some IT issues.
Okay, not as a dishwasher.
Yes. Yeah, but it was not for a long time, and then I started the company, IT company, and my first business was just to install computer systems for restaurants. So restaurant automatization systems. So that company is still running for 20 years now because it was established in 1999. So later I also established some new companies in IT field, and in 2009 me and my wife, we started the company together with a partner for consumer credit financing in Lithuania. So my journey started with financial services.
Yeah.
And after launching that company, after starting to providing consumer loans for Lithuanian citizens, I just saw the possibility that maybe it's possible, as from IT side, it's just to issue credits, not only from balance sheet, but also to engage other people who can also start lending to other people the money. And the idea came in 2010. But I think the market was not ready for that because of maybe legislation issues, and I stopped the project. And after 4 years, I was back because I saw some progress on legislation, and in 2014, in January, I decided to establish NEO Finance. So just I had a vision how to build it properly, to get all the licenses needed for that business.
Yeah.
So we started to think how to get electronic money institution license, just to keep the investors and borrowers' money safe in the platform. Yeah, so it took 10 months to get the electronic money institution license, and we got the license in October 2015. And in December, after 2 months, we started the operations with P2P lending. In April 2016, we got another license from Lithuanian Central Bank. It's specialized license for P2P consumer lending. Actually, as far as I know, it's only 2 countries in Europe who has the regulation for such kind of the business. It's UK and Lithuania. And also, we from the beginning we got another license. It's a balance sheet lender license, when we can also lend the money from our balance sheet, just to act as a market maker, especially at the beginning, because we need to fill the demand of loans for borrowers. Yeah, so it's short story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we pick up on small parts of that and the individual aspects that you mentioned. One element that I think is first and foremost important to understand, also looking outside on the front office, there's nothing said about NEO Finance. So also when I had like an interview this morning and I was like, I go to NEO Finance, nobody knew. Where do you go? Sorry, I don't know that brand. And as soon as I mentioned Paskoly Klubas, they understood, okay, there you go. Maybe you can explain like the difference, why Paskoly Klubas, and why you started to set up then also NEO Finance, and just people get the setting right. At the beginning, the company name also was a Lithuanian name, Paskoly Klubas, what means loans club. Yeah. And our brand from the beginning in Lithuania for borrowers and for investors also was Paskoly Klubas, because we just were playing in the local market only. And after 1 year we decided to attract already international investors, and it was the decision to build another brand name, NEO Finance, and also we changed the company name because of a reason to go more internationally. So now we have 2 brands and building a third one. So one brand is Paskoly Klubas for Lithuanians and for Lithuanian borrowers especially. Yeah. And NEO Finance is the brand for international investors. As we already accepting investors to invest into Lithuanian consumer loans from all over the Europe. That's to me like I think that's important to bring that message across. Paskoly Klubas is basically the loan originator. They are focused only on the Lithuanian market for consumer loans, and that's why it made sense to maintain with that brand. So that's why most Lithuanians are aware of that brand. But obviously, to give it probably more of an international touch for the investors and make it more accessible to them, you set up the NEO Finance. Do you remember around which time you started to have that second brand name, NEO Finance? I think it was somewhere beginning 2018.
Maybe it was already in 2017, maybe late 2017.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just to get the understanding right, okay, what has one to do with the other. What like you've been in the market now for you said like you were playing with the idea already for quite a long time, but you didn't feel like the setting was right from a legal standpoint of view. When you felt like the circumstances were right, I think there's still some borders and some challenges to overcome when you start up a company, like this, like you need to hire people, you need probably the right amount of funding, you need to advertise to borrowers. So what would you say have been in the beginning? We say like NEO Finance, but and it must be more Paskoly Klubas. What have been the major or the biggest challenges right in the beginning to get this company up on its legs?
Yeah, every day was a challenge, especially in the beginning, because we had lack of volumes, lack of brand awareness. We needed to spend quite big amounts on marketing because we are loan originators ourselves, Paskoly Klubas. So we needed to build the proper IT system, which is developed in the house from the beginning. So also as we are electronic money institution, it becomes even more difficult to build that because actually our IT system is something very similar to the bank core system because our clients have IBAN accounts. It's possible also to do transfers. We are connected to central bank, so-called central link system, and our customers can transfer money in CEPA area all over the Europe. Just now we not allowing it to do for international investors, but so IT part was quite difficult, but at the moment we are quite happy with it. Of course, every day we are investing to develop it further. Also to build the first 1,000 investors. Also, it's quite difficult because as you are a new company, you need to build also trust. And at first 1,000 investors to achieve was also the challenge.
How long did it take? Do you remember?
I think it was almost 1 year, maybe a little bit less than 1 year. But also we needed funds to invest to attract not only investors but borrowers as well, and it's more bigger amounts because we started also with TV campaigns, radio, so we spent quite much money on marketing. Also,
but that's more for the borrowers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And where do you sorry, just go ahead.
Also, I started to build the team as by a law, as we electronic money institution, we have certain requirements to have certain amount of capital. Also to build the board and supervisory board, because we are holding people's money and we should separate it, and we should do internal audit, we should do external audit. We are supervised by Lithuanian Central Bank. We should report every month or every quarter about our activities, about our funds, about customers' funds, to prove that they are separated from our company's accounts. So regulation also demands quite much time and resources. So let's say at the beginning everything was very difficult. And for investors, as also, I just looking for the other partners to invite into the business when I started it. So I invited the former Swedbank, the biggest commercial bank in Lithuania, the former president of the bank. So he was first who joined our team. Yeah, so everything was quite tough, and first people who joined our team was taking quite a big risk, I would say.
Yeah.
Of course, now it's much easier as the team is built, the business is running, and we are very close to break even, and everything is much easier now.
Okay. I want to discuss with you a very recent topic, which was the equity crowdfunding that you did. At Seedrs, you managed to raise 215,000 euro for 1.86% equity, which gave the company, which always is also something people are interested in, gave the company a valuation of 10.5 million euro worth. What have been the reasons to start a crowdfunding campaign in the first place?
First reason to start it was not the funds, as our demand minimum amount was 200,000, but the main reason was to, as we have a goal to go outside our local market to attract foreign investors. So Seedrs is a very good marketing tool to get more awareness about NEO Finance and also to get the funds. But first place I would say is just to get traction, to get more awareness about the company, as we already had a goal at that time to go internationally for investor side.
And do you plan to use that capital to the raised capital to invest in the growth on the investor side, or how do you plan to allocate the budget or the kind of funding?
As it's not so big amount, so it's very easy to spend.
You take it in your pocket.
That money now. I will not take it in my pocket, but we'll invest that money into marketing to attract more investors, and also to build IT system, the new functions, in our IT system. So it's not so big money.
Okay. Can you maybe, because we're right now covering the finance topic, say a few words about the general financing structure of this company?
So at the moment, about 77% belongs to my family company called Era Capital, and my business partner Grigory Gurevich has almost 10% of capital, and also the member of the board, Davidas Tumas, who also joined the company in early 2016. He has almost 5%, and Antanas Danys, former president of Swedbank, who joined me even earlier than Davidas Tumas, and he is now the chief of supervisory board. He has almost 3% of capital, and some employees just converted the share options, and having from, let's say, from 0 point something to 1% of share capital, and some small investors. And of course, after Seedrs round, we have new investors. We have anchor investor from Netherlands, Maurice, who was the anchor investor at the Seedrs campaign. So he has almost also 1% of share capital. And Seedrs investors, we have about 350 investors from Seedrs. They hold in totally maybe a little bit more than 1% of share capital.
Okay, interesting. Talking about numbers, figures, finance structures, for me personally, as an investor, I always look also very closely, in terms of the transparency. Is there any annual reports published? As far as NEO Finance is concerned, I think that's not the case right now. Do you plan to publish also or make that publicly available how the company is performing with its numbers?
Our reports, all the reports are public at the moment. So you can find it very easy at neofinance.com reports section. It's including three type of reports we provide for investors and for our shareholders. First one is quarterly sales reports. We issue every quarter just to show for investors and shareholders how we are going with the sales, as we have two revenue streams. So P2P consumer lending, commission fee, and our fee as an investor, because we also investing together with investors from our balance sheet. And another type is the revenue stream from electronic money institution, as the money transfers and, for example, a payment initiation service, which is our newest second product, as now, let's say, we have two focuses and two revenue streams. It's P2P lending and payment initiation service. It's a new product under PSD2 regulation, so we already provide this service in our local market in Lithuania. So sales report, it's number one report we provide, and second one is half-year report, where we include also the management report, how the things are going in the company, just telling some important things, events, and so on, and also the financial situation of the company every half of a year. And the third kind of reports are audited yearly reports, so every investor can find and look and read about our financial situation, audited reports.
Okay. I would like to have a look at the borrower market. One of the aspects that it's a personal probably investor preference. I always like to have companies that are first of all in charge issuing the loans, so they're in control over the entire process. I very much like that if I got the feeling it's executed properly. And secondly, I like a narrowed focus. So you're only issuing loans to consumer loans in Lithuania. And as far as what I could take also from the Seedrs video away is the current market volume per month. Consumer loans in Lithuania is around 50 million euro. And looking at NEO Finance now performing like they achieve like a monthly loan funding of about 1 million, that will probably be a market share of 2% in Lithuania. That's at least when I was doing the math. And so it's still a significant amount, but still 98% are issued, somewhere through other institutions, and where the loan funding comes from there. Can you say like where the other, or who is funding this other 98%? Is it like traditional banks? And maybe like also what your ambition in the long run is to increase your share in that percentage, if you have any figures.
Starting from 2008, as the world crisis appeared. So the new type of lending companies started to operate in Lithuanian market because banks at that moment we decided to stop lending or to reduce the amounts for consumer lending. So these new type of balance sheet lenders, they took reasonable in several years. They took reasonable share market from banks, and now it's about 40% of total consumer loans are issued from non-bank institutions in Lithuania. So,
again, how many percent from non-banking lenders?
40% from total amount issued per month.
Yeah.
Are issued actually by non-banking institutions.
Okay.
It's approximately.
Yeah.
And P2P consumer lenders even more. The volumes issued by P2P consumer lenders in Lithuania are growing rapidly.
Yeah.
And we have actually 4 types of lenders, like banks, credit unions, balance sheet lenders, and P2P consumer lending platforms. So at the moment, in let's say January, we have issued almost 1.5 million euros of loans at NEO Finance. So it's more than 1 million already. And our market share was around, let's say, 2.5 or 3% of market share. So we just are in a better position because if to look at the value proposition and comparing it to the balance sheet lenders, our value proposition is more interesting for people to borrow. And we see that we can seek and overcome, let's say, 7 or 8% of market share in the coming 3 years. So we have a goal to achieve 5 million euros of loans issued per month in 3-4 years.
Okay, interesting. So that I think that goes to show you want to follow up on that path, or do you have in the back of your mind also plan to go out to other countries, or will you remain solely in Lithuania?
Lithuania for such type of a business, I would say that it's a very good country because of digitalization and possibility to get all information from registers to assess the credit worthiness of borrowers. And for us, it's much more profitable to stay on the local market and not to go so fast to other countries, to keep focus in here and to grow our volumes in Lithuania, because we have a team here, we know how to do business. The only one thing is just to scale our business. So we'll stay here while we see the possibility to grow, and if we see the Lithuanian market is already exhausted, so only in that case we would move to other countries to copy our business model.
Okay. I'm very interested now. You're staying local. How do you, obviously, your brand perception of Paskoly Klubas, it's very dominant after a while. But how, in general, do you acquire borrowers? Like, what's the process? Is it a mixture of digital channels? Do you do like offline advertising? How do you get the borrowers to come to you?
From the early beginning, we used our experience how to gain more borrowers onto the platform. So we are using very mixed ways of marketing acquisition channels, and the most popular way is TV ads. So we are actively advertising on our Lithuanian TV channels, radio also, and also internet channels like Google AdWords, Facebook, and affiliate partners as well. So all the mixed channels we use. And as we have a quite ambitious task to get the market share, let's say 8% in coming 4 years, so we should increase the volumes of marketing in our country, and we know how to do it, and we hope this target is achievable. And as I said, it's looking at the company costs. It's very cost-effective way for us to gain the volumes and also to become quite profitable company. Just using our local presence and focus on the local market.
Yeah. Okay. One of the elements that came across to me, investments start at NEO Finance from €10 for a single loan. What investors, at least what I don't know, it was the first time I came across this fact. What you do you have a maximum that a single you have a maximum investment size for a single individual loan that an investor can invest, which is like capped at €500. Why is it capped? Can you explain why that is?
It is because of regulation. Because as I said, our P2P consumer lending platforms operations are regulated in Lithuania by our Lithuanian central bank. So legislation is have some rules just to protect investors from maybe some stupid steps. For example, let's imagine that you are an investor and you have €10,000. So if you invest these €10,000 into one specific loan, you can lose your money. So the reason for this 500 cap is to diversify enough your portfolio not to lose money. So it's one of the investors' protection rules in our legislation.
Okay. I was just, I had obviously the same idea. I was just not sure if it's a regulatory necessity, or if it's something that you said we want to protect the investors up front, and that's why we say we only want them to invest a maximum of €500 into one single loan. So I didn't know if it was like from a legal perspective, or if you said yourself, hey, come on, in order to protect investors, they should more diversify their loan portfolio. So that's the background for the question. One important element, you touched base on it, I didn't want to switch topics too quickly, was the unlimited e-money institution license. NEO Finance is so far the only Lithuanian P2P platform, or the only operator that is holding this kind of license. Can you maybe explain in simple terms what is an e-money institution license? What is it about? Why is it necessary? And how you benefit from it? Maybe how investors also benefit from it?
The reason we got the e-money institution license is to protect investors' money, as by our law you should separate investors' money from the company's money. If you remember the scandal in Sweden with the platform called TrustBuddy. It's possible to read it at the internet, but what they did, investors were transferring money, depositing money in TrustBuddy accounts.
Yeah.
And actually, the management decided to use investors' money for the company purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so as I see the situation from the very beginning, we studied the laws very carefully, and it's now the way how to do the business. It's if you want to deposit investors' money, you should get the license of electronic money institution, or another way, you should partnership with such the electronic money institution which has a license, so they keep the investors' funds, and just you show it on the investor's account at your platform. So the main reason, just investors in that having the license, we show for investors that their money are safe, very safe in our platform, and it's no way, and just it's not a promise. As you have a license, you have many obligations from supervisory authorities, and you for example, we have a requirement to do every year audited reports and to send it to the Lithuanian Central Bank, and they can do inspections at any time, just checking are you not using investors' money and how these funds are deposited into accounts. It's, in European Union we have electronic money institution directive, so it's not the national law for electronic money institution, but it's European law adopted into Lithuanian legislation. So it's the main reason, and having this license, we have also to dedicate resources just to run this license and to do all compliance issues and to audit all the reports and so on. Many additional requirements we have. But from other side, investors are more believing that we are just doing the business in the right way. And we're not going to use their money as we have such cases before.
Okay. You said it already, the kind of supervision. NEO Finance is regulated by the Bank of Lithuania. How does that affect your day-to-day business, or where do you feel like this kind of supervision, the regulations by the Bank of Lithuania, like, can you just talk about, I don't know, which kind of impact it has on your day-to-day business?
Let's say if we look at our expenses table, it's about 30% of our expenses goes to keep the license running and to do all compliance things, also IT development, because as I told, it's not only compliance, it's not only the rules, we should also program the system properly to hold the funds of our clients, and also money transfers and so on. So actually it's also taking quite many resources from IT side and also compliance side. So actually better not to have this, because it costs quite much. But from other side, it's trust from investors.
Okay. How would you evaluate the general regulatory environment in Lithuania? Like in general, how you observe it? You feel like it's inappropriate, or just like a general opinion of yours in regards to the regulatory environment is like, I guess it will be beneficial for the business, but you feel like there's like things to improve, or you feel like there's more things that you could communicate and work out with them a better legal framework into which help obviously you to grow, but at the same time also protect the interests of the investors as well as the borrowers?
Lithuanian government, the set up strategic plan to become very fintech friendly country and have a goal to become leader of fintech industry into Baltics and Scandinavian region. So it was this strategy confirmed 2 or 3 years ago now, and the good things started to change in a good way. And for example, of course, we have many things to improve at the moment. As an example, for Lithuanian residents, if we talk about the taxes, how we pay taxes from the interest received, it's still many places to improve our taxation issues. But of course, that's not maybe so important to foreign investors. So we should improve that thing, but also some steps forward to solve that situation. It's already happening. And another thing, for example, which is also should be improved, for example, is we have the such a requirement in the law of P2P consumer lending. It's consumer credit law that the lenders in P2P consumer platform cannot be companies, legal entities. Only private individuals can lend the money to Lithuanian borrowers.
Okay.
That's very strange. And we are fighting with this regulation already for 2 years, and we have promises from financial ministry that this amendment of a law should come into force very soon, but still it didn't happen at the moment. From the other side, for investors, for example, for private individual investors, it's not very bad because, as in other platforms, let's say from 50 to 80% of money comes from institutional investors or private companies. So if we have this at the moment, maybe the interest rate would be lower, let's say 2 or 3%. So now private investors have a chance to earn greater returns because of that restriction in a law. But common situation, I would say that it's changing to the better and better every month, and we see the environment for fintech companies changing, and also Lithuania attracts many of electronic money institutions and specialized banks and payment institutions to establish into Lithuania, I mean foreign investors, and of course they should change the environment to be better for investments to come into Lithuania.
Okay, interesting topic. I would like to discuss with you again a risk term, but this time it's more, let's say, it's still borrower but also investor related. NEO Finance is doing the risk assessment themselves. So you issue the loan, so you assess also the risk. Unfortunately, we can't have a guy that I wanted to get to know today. It's Marius Navikas. He's like very specialized, has a very interesting vita, and he's like the brain, I would say, probably behind the entire risk assessment process, which, when I understood correctly, you also renew every year. Like you review it and you see what can you improve, what is things that you can adjust maybe in your process. I just want to quickly quote something that I read, I think it was on a website. The credit worthiness rating is the expression of the consumer credit recipient's assessment result. It is graded from A, the highest level of reliability, to E, the lowest level of reliability. Consumer credits are granted only to the persons with the A to C rating, worthiness rating, credit worthiness rating. So what kind of, because Marius is obviously not here now, what kind of details can you share about the risk assessment process that you're running for the borrowers?
Okay, when a borrower applies onto platform to get a loan, just filling your name, surname, and personal code, we have a right as a lender to check all the consumer's data into different kind of registries in Lithuania. So actually, that it's good. As I said, Lithuania is very digitalized country. We can retrieve all the data needed from the registers online in automatic way. So that's very good for our market. So we request different kind of information. For example, the debt history, personal income, work experience, also the current financial obligations from different kind of databases. Also some other information about the borrower. And when we get all this information, we start to build the creditworthiness rating, which is based on statistical information, which we improve every year. And I cannot disclose the exact formula, how it's built. But then we just decide, algorithm decide which grade you get, for example, A, B, C, D, E. And yes, and A is the low risk customers, which is mainly could be financed with the banks, and we compete with the banks who will issue the loan for grade A in Lithuania. B is the average risk customers. We then in that case we compete also with the banks and also with balance sheet lenders, which are just lending at the higher interest rates. And C is high risk customers, which is actually we are competing in that case only with balance sheet lenders because of the risk is higher and interest rate of course is higher and default rate is higher. And so depending on your grade you get, the range of interest rate appears for you to choose. And for example, for grade A you can start we have some such interesting functionality that in our platform the borrower can set up the interest rate himself. But we show the range that you can start from 6, for example, to 20. And you can try to get a loan at very low interest rate. For example, if you are grade B, you can start from 12. But if you will not get financed, and you have 2 weeks to get financed, but if you see that it's the investors invest into your loan very slow, you can increase the interest rate into the financing process.
Yeah.
During the financing process. So it's very tricky.
Yeah.
Because borrowers like it very much. Yeah, because I decide.
Yeah.
When I am borrowing from the bank decides which interest rate I should get. And we show the statistics in our webpage, neofinance.com. Statistics, you can look at default rates. So we provide all the information very transparent for investors just to look and decide which grade is. For example, I would like to risk. Some investors goes very conservative way, just investing into grade A. But average interest rate in that case is about 11-12%. And if I want to invest more riskier, I choose grade C, for example.
Yeah, but how? Yeah, that would be the question to me. Like, how flexible is the borrower in the end? Because I tried to think about it. You can say so. The correlation between where to which grade A, B, C a borrower gets set up by you, or is it like in the end his decision? Because I feel like you tell them, okay, like we checked on you, you're very reliable and trustworthy, and so you get a rating A, but maybe that A person is very desperate to get very quick funding, and obviously he would get the lowest interest rate to pay back, but maybe he needs it so quick that he says, okay, I'm willing to pay back 20% interest rate, and that will kind of conflict, because I also saw like A, B, C, that's also like a difference in the interest rate. So the borrower can just adjust his interest rate to a certain extent, right? He can't say like I do X, Y, Z. He can just work in a close range. Is it like this, or?
Let's say borrower has two ways how to get the loan. One way is just to choose the interest rate he would like to get financed.
Yeah.
And then the loan application appears in the market and investors try funding.
Yeah.
And if you set up a quite low interest rate, which is below market average, for example, it could take, let's say, 1 week or 2 weeks to get financed, or not to be financed at all because of low interest rate. Yeah, but for example, in some circumstances, a customer would like to get, for example, 9% and no more, and he's waiting. But as you said, that if I want to get financing very quick, so I can choose as a borrower the way to get financed in 1 second. We call it, how we call it in okay, it's
you don't know the English term, probably.
Yeah, it's Lithuanian term. So if you decide to get a loan instantly, our algorithm goes through the automatic investment I forgot. The algorithm just are looking for auto investments of investors, for example, because every investor, for example, decides how to invest in automatic way, at what interest rate, into which grade, and so on. So the algorithm goes up, and for example, if somebody is ready to lend for grade A at 9%, so the money will be taken from your account, and the algorithm goes up, and when your auto investment is fitting your criteria, all the money are just taken from the accounts, and it goes up with the interest rate till the certain amount of the money is reached. So in that case, it happens that the loan will be financed at different interest rate for investors. For example, one investor can invest at the interest rate 9% and another one, for example, at 15%. Yeah, I don't know. Did I explain it right? Because it's a little bit...
it's complicated, yeah. But we shouldn't probably get lost here in those details. I think what is interesting with the ratings, so you have, like you say, like the rating A is the lowest risk, C will be something like balance sheet lenders, and still you have like also a category of D and E. You could have just said it's one rating, we don't accept them, that's not acceptable for us, or their whatever term. Why do you distinguish also here between D and E? Does it have any purpose?
Yeah, D. Because we have very strict law requirements. What kind of borrowers can get the loan? We have DTI requirement. We have the requirements that these borrowers should be working at least for 4 months in the last place, and quite many different requirements from the legislation side. So E grade is not allowed to get a loan at all by our requirements, law requirements, and D, it's possible to get a loan, but we as a platform we see that the risk is too high for investors, and it could happen that it's no way, it's better not to allow them to get a loan.
Okay. Then this is one interesting question, I think. Now let's assume if you look at the average loan requests that NEO Finance is getting, and we say like you get 100 borrower requests, how many of them are ending up between A, B, and C, and how many are in the D and E section? So what I'm asking is basically, you get 100 loan requests, how many are getting funded through the platform, and how many do you take out right away? Can you talk about that ratio?
Yeah, ratio is very simple, 10 to 90%. So 10% who applies, they can get a loan, or let's say they get a grade A, B, or C.
Yeah, 10%.
And 90% it's D and E. So we finance only 10% of the borrowers who apply.
Interesting. Okay. I think, very interesting rate. I think it shows like it's not the other way around would have probably surprised me more in the sense that, oh wow, you take almost every loan, but that's quite a selective approach, I would say. Let's talk about something that you have in place, which is called the provision fund. On the website it also says NEO Finance recommends each investor to secure the provision fund protection before investing, therefore reducing the risk of the investment. So clearly there's a recommendation from your side. What is the provision fund and how does it work?
I would say that it's not the recommendation, but it's several ways how you can invest depending on the risk you want to take. So one way is just to invest and not to choose this provision fund. And another way, if you are quite conservative investor, you can choose the provision fund then investing into loans. So what is a provision fund? It's actually when you choose to invest with a provision fund, you pay some certain fee for a platform, and we take a risk of that borrower you are investing. But as we take risk from you, also we take some fee from the investor. So we get a fee, but we also get a risk for that specific loan. And what does it mean when these borrower starts to pay, we ensure that you will get your every month installment on time. So first thing, you will get the installment on time always, despite the fact this borrower is late to pay or not late to pay. So it's one thing. Another thing, if this borrower goes default, you will get back all your invested amount, or let's say the face value of the let's say the rest of the amount is not paid at the moment. So we cover two risks: to get payments on time, and also if customer goes default, you will get 100 back of your investment.
Okay. Just very quickly, can you say, like, because I think I read the amount that's taken off, if you decide to use the provision fund, it depends also on the rating. So like there's probably a certain percentage for each rating.
Yes, it depends on rating, and also it depends on a term of a loan. For example, for 1 year, the fee is much lower than for 5 years loan, and also for grade A, the percentage of a fee is also much lower than for grade C. So we calculate this fee depending on the risk and the term of a loan.
Okay. If I don't decide to use the provision fund, and the loan defaults, and it's delayed between 60 and 130 days, that it's overdue, basically NEO Finance terminates the consumer credit agreement with the recipient of the consumer credit, and after the termination you offer to buy back the debt from the, I would say, the remaining principal then, for a market price between 50 and 80%. Is that correct?
Yes, this is a third way of your risk when you invest into consumer loans through our NEO Finance platform. So when you are not choosing provision fund, you are investing, and if the borrower defaults, you have a right, but not obligation, to sell back this loan to us at a haircut of 50 to 20%. So in that case, you don't need to wait the debt recovery process, but you get your money back instantly. And in that case, we buy the loan from you and sell this loan part immediately to debt collection agency. So we also are not keeping that debt in our balance sheet.
So basically two ways investors can handle how do they would like to, manage risk themselves, either provision fund or buyback guarantee, which will be then obviously to a reduced market price, because also you continue to sell it to another debt collector. And that's essentially the third part that I want to discuss. This kind of the risk loan element here, which is like the debt collection and recovery part. Also here I want to quote something. All debts are handled by a single firm, which is Legal Balance, which has been a long-term partner of NEO Finance. The company has plus 8 years of experience in delinquent loans recovery, which ensures speed and quality of the service. And now the number is 65% of debts have been collected within 2 years. What can you say in general? Because you're also one of the board members of Legal Balance and also other shareholders of NEO Finance, I figured. What can you say about this measure, the debt collection in the back end? And is there maybe like not a conflicting interest, but when you look at your involved in the legal balance aspect with the recovery. You're here with the loans origination. So it's kind of a in itself feeding business model, I would say, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but we have different shareholders in two companies, but yes, I am in the both companies, so I have some conflict of interest, but when the issue comes to some negotiation process with that collection company, so I step out and I do not vote for decisions, and other board members they decide on, and we're just dealing on the market conditions, and actually we are very happy with legal balance debt collection process and results, and I am sure we will not find such effective company which can bring us the same result, and we have some automation, and if you look at our platform, and if the customer just are starting to be late on payments, so we show for investors all the steps taken to recover the installments, and so it helps us with automation because these systems are integrated, and I see it's a good thing for investors because they can actually track on every loan and what was done to get back the money. And also talking about the results in Lithuania, the debt collection results are among the highest in all Europe. And let's say there are some market is existing here, which quite many players from Scandinavia and also other countries. And Legal Balance has also a partner, EOS Group from Germany, who is one of the biggest debt purchasers, because Legal Balance also purchases the debts from financial institutions. So the company has the great experience and know-how to collect the consumer loans, especially. We are very happy, and for example, as I said, that Lithuania is among the highest debt collection rate in Europe. We know the market price for fresh defaulted loans. Fresh, I mean when it's about 120 days late. And we know the deals in the market for what price the deals goes for such the loans, and it's very, very high in Lithuania because the debt collection results are very, very high. So in that for that reason we allow for investors to invest in high risk grade C. Because the annual default rate we calculate and we estimate is about 15%. It's quite high, let's say. But still, 85% of customers are the good ones. If we decide to cut that high-risk rating, so 85% of customers will not get the loans. So, but in that case, we need to recover that 15%, and the recovery rate is quite high in Lithuania.
Okay. Almost done. Just two more small topics I want to discuss, both related to the future of NEO Finance. Within the annual preview for 2019, also where you contributed on my blog, you said you want to break even with the cash flow in 2019. It's probably also a nice achievement, because many investors look at it, okay, is that company profitable? obviously there's an understanding you need to invest in order to grow, to ensure you have a certain market share, but still people like the feeling of, okay, this is a company that produces more than it, they have more income than expenses, basically, when we break it down. Are you still on track for that plan for 2019?
Yes, but we have a plan to execute IPO soon.
That was my second question.
Yeah, okay, so if we are success, so maybe we'll increase investments.
Yeah.
That means that we also will increase our expenses. So in that case, maybe the break-even will be postponed for another 1 year, for example. But actually, at the moment, by our calculations, the break-even comes at the beginning of next year. But talking about financial balance sheets and profit loss statement, it's quite tricky situation because we have hidden value. Of a reason, our income, commission fee, which we get from the borrower, it's not included in the same year when the loan is issued, because we take our commission fee on the monthly installment basis when investor gets the monthly installment from the borrower. Borrower also pays as a commission fee. So actually we are sitting in the same boat with investors, because if the loan is not paid, we are not getting our commission fee. But this leads to the interesting financial situation when expenses is showed in that specific month, for example, but the revenue is deferred, or let's say the revenue is spread in the
future,
in entire loan period. For example, if a loan is issued for 5 years, so our commission fee will be collected and shown into balance sheet only in 5 years term. So when we do financials, we show two ways about our financial statements. One way we call the management account, just it's information for the management, which means that how our finances will look like if we discount the future cash flow to the current month. So if we do that, so we are profitable even at the moment, and the total amount of future cash flow we have at the moment is more than 3 million euros, so it's a reasonable amount. But if we look at our financial reports, you will not see that figure. So we say it that the company has hidden value, and if you understand it, so you can become the investor, because if you don't understand that, you'll see that company is not still profitable, so it's maybe more risk and so on. But actually, it's we already do not have a risk not to be not profitable. Let's say.
Okay. And the last topic, obviously, the IPO. What can you share? When is it planned? And just like, what's in general information you think is worth knowing surrounding the IPO that is planned? Why do you do it? I mean, I could assume the answer, but like, why do you do the IPO, and what do you expect from it? When is it planned? Those kind of information.
IPO we organize for the two main reasons again. One of the reason is just to get more awareness about the company, to be more transparent, to build more trust with investors, because we just need to grow, and we have a goal to increase the number of investors to 25,000 in 3-4 years.
Yes, can you repeat it again? You need to increase the
number of investors to 25,000. in 3-4 years.
Yeah. Where are you now?
We have about 7,000. So it's not very ambitious, let's say. So and also we need capital to grow. We need capital to grow because we have two revenue streams. As I said, we want to increase the loans issued per month to 5 million euros. So the additional capital will help us to achieve it.
Yeah.
Let's say in our 3-4 years term, and also we want to sell our financial product called payment initiation service, because now we are providing this service to Lithuanian e-commerce companies, and we are very successful. The number of transactions, it's growing rapidly. The product itself showed that it's very fast and convenient for purchasers who purchase something at the web in e-shops, and we'll try to expand and to sell that payment initiation service to neighbor countries like Latvia, Estonia, and also maybe to some other countries. And also we are planning to open the branch in Netherlands, just for the reason also to attract more investors and to try to sell our payment initiation service. So the main two reasons,
And when the outlook timeline for the IPO?
It should happen in April or May.
So
very soon.
Fairly soon, yeah. Okay, I think we came to an end with the conversation. For the very end, obviously, you have like around, you said 7,000 investors right now. Many platforms in P2P lending, they have like a big audience from Germany. I don't know which share you have of German investors currently. Can you talk about it? How many of your investors come from Germany?
Germans are the second after Lithuanians.
Okay. And in total numbers or percentage?
Much less than Lithuanians.
Much less.
Yes.
Okay, that leaves some.
Still we need to grow.
Yeah. Okay. Even more important, probably than now, your last final words, maybe directed directly to the German viewers. What can you tell them about NEO Finance that probably hasn't been discussed now in the interview? Just like what your direct message would be to the investors in Germany about NEO Finance.
I would like to remind you that Lithuania is very fintech-oriented country, and NEO Finance is a leading P2P consumer platform in Lithuania, and we would like to invite you to become our investors and start investing into NEO Finance platform into Lithuanian consumer loans, as you need to diversify your portfolios and not to keep all the money in Latvia, for example, and in other countries. And we can offer you the very safe place to invest, as NEO Finance is just taking care of your safety, of your fund safety and your investment safety, and also you can expect to earn about 10 to 14% of annual interest rate. It's already net after losses, so it's quite good annual return you can expect. And also I would like you to invite to take part in our coming IPO and to become our shareholder in the nearest future. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Evaldas. And you got the message across. And yeah, thank you for your time and thanks for your answers.
Thank you, Danny.